When I was doing this research, I started to have a lot of women around in their 50s started to reach out to me for sessions. And these sessions were for breast cancer. A lot of women in their 50s were developing breast cancer. And these are women who, they eat well, they've done a lot of, creational work within their body, lineage work, you name it, they've done it. Healing, Reiki, all of it. And they were still developing breast cancer. So I really started to sit with this in meditation and ask, what is really happening here? What are the mechanisms of the body that we are not really tapping into? And the first thing that started to come through was the way that our bodies are in false light all the time, and the understanding of pure darkness and pure light, and the incredible intelligent color frequencies that are in between the two that give us the intelligence of color and sound to create infinite types of form. So at this period of time, I really started getting into sitting in darkness. And I would sit hours a day in darkness. And what I started to notice as I was in this pure darkness, that my nervous system started to calm down. And I really started to see how much time we spend in false light versus pure light and pure darkness. So I made it a point to start spending about 12 hours a day in pure light and 12 hours a day in pure darkness. And what started happening is this incredible array of bioluminescence in my meditation started happening. And so this bioluminescence intelligence was starting to connect to that mother matrix, to the field of this information that is able to pull energy into specific structures and forms. So the womb, the heart, the breasts, and the pineal gland are all aspects of these mechanisms, these quantum mechanisms of opening stargates. So the womb stargate are holosomatic information, basically, of layered consciousness, holosomatic intelligence that are pulsating in and out of dimensions, and membranes that are the star maps of conscious form. When I started to recognize that the womb is a stargate, I started to think that there has to be some type of mechanism here that we can tap into, share with other people, other women, our divine lineage. So I started doing a lot of research on the uterus and the components of the uterus, all the muscular organs that create this whole entire aspect of the aperture of cosmic information being able to come through and move into physical form. One of the parts that I have never heard about before in all of the classes that I've taken, and I was a physical therapist for many years, so I took a lot of anatomy classes. And the first thing that we have to recognize about anatomy is that the word anatomy actually means to dissect. And so every time that we're talking about anatomy, we're talking about information that came from dissecting the body. This dissection is where we have the influence of cult sciences and cult religions. The body is not meant to be dissected, it is meant to be in its pure unification. We're meant to unify all the systems of the body as a holy creation, as a holy aspect of the immaculate concept, the universal human that has the God intelligence to create other forms from the purest aspects of love. So I started to move into understanding this aspect called the fundus, which is the round upper portion of the uterus. And I was blown away that this round upper portion, this fundus, we have several funduses through the bodies. Our eyes are actually, the cones of our eyes are actually a fundus. It's actually a disc that's over the top of the uterus. And it's like an ocular eye or disc or movement of a dome, kind of like a sphere of a satellite. And so what happens is there's an image that is projected from that fundus into the womb. And so I thought, wow, that is so fascinating that not only do we have funduses in the back of our eyes as projectors, but we have them in the womb. And then I was like, well, where is all the image? Where does the image come from? The holographic image that gets projected into the womb. What I started to notice is that there were all kinds of crystalline structures within the womb as well. And so that these crystals basically refract light from each other and create a pattern within the womb that opens up specific coordinate systems of genetic information, of conscious information that then move into being genetics. And so this moving into multidimensional understanding of the flow of a beam that bounces of the edge, and as you follow it a few times, it flows from another beam and bounces to another, and in a few times has more beams and more beams. And then there's a certain intersection of points that come together in the womb space. And these are the coordinates, the location of pixels in a light structure that is going to create a holographic shape inside the womb through the consciousness. Through consciousness, we create multidimensional access of this projection of this 3D space. And for exalted states of beings to be birthed, for all matter of all exalted states of consciousness to be birthed, not just a child, not just another being, but all matter, we must have full access and memory and the full access memory and creation of coherent consciousness of these abilities. And so this is kind of like my representation of that, of what's happening within the womb, of this moving light, this refracting light patterns that create holocymatics, holographic information that then gets created within the three-dimensional aspect of the womb. And so here's an image of the fundus that I wanted to show you. Truly incredible we are and what we can do. And then I started to say, okay, well, what do the fallopian tubes do then? And then I came across this incredible article about the golden ratio of the uterus, of the fallopian tubes. And I was like, well, that's where the light comes from. You have two aspects of movement, the flow of energy of movement that is coming together, right? Light that's coming together in golden ratio forms. That is where the light is coming from. That's bringing in these coherent patterns of consciousness for these exalted states, this coordinate system to happen. And so I kind of went down a little rabbit hole with this Belgian gynecologist, Jasper Vergets, and you can look him up if you want, but he went into the mathematical proportions of the golden ratio within the fallopian tubes in the womb, which I thought was really fascinating. So then I started to notice that there were all kinds of this light happening within the womb that are opening and dialing the apertures of stargates, of coordinate systems within interdimension and multidimensional membranes. And that light really became like a plasma consciousness that was the physical representation of what we call dark matter or dark DNA or black holes or black suns. There are dialing mechanisms of the womb are actually these abilities to tap into this dark energy. And I don't mean a place of like evil or any of that. It is the purest form of 0 point, if you will, infinite potential and possibility, the infinite waters. And so when I was doing this research, what was really interesting is I started to read these journals about how we used to create our own vitamins and our own minerals. We created vitamin C, we created a lot of our own minerals, and somehow that stopped. And then we were led to believe that we need to eat oranges or salt or whatever to access these minerals and these vitamins, when in reality we make them. The other aspect that I found is that we also create water. I've never read that anywhere in any text or form that I've ever studied, that the mitochondrial DNA actually creates water. And I believe that we are creating all of the water that is on this planet. It is relative to the health, the quality, the dimensional size, with the health and quality and understanding of the mitochondrial DNA, this divine birthright. And why do we create water? Because it's part of the memory device of a lineage. You want to call it the Akashic records or field, but it is the genetic key codes of past, present, and future of all of our generations that has a mechanism of memory to get passed in integrity from mother to child. So the plasma consciousness, and plasma is another state of water, started to come into my field. And as I was studying the fire ratio, the golden ratio, the harmonics and alignments of this beautiful body that we have, I started to notice that these different aspects of the cycles that we have are like tuning mechanisms, like a musical instrument. And I started to notice that from the base, the pelvic bowl, all the way up to our skull and the alignment of our spine, the 33 harmonics that we have in our spine, were like a Vajra key. And so we have this system, this crystalline system, this Vajra key of harmonics. And then you bring in all of the different aspects of the golden ratio that are happening within the body, that are basically bringing photonic light clouds in. And it's like a dimensional musical instrument with the natural holocymatic patterns of the omniverse. This includes the spiral shape of the fallopian tubes and the arrangements of blood vessels within the uterus. These elements can be seen as conduits for plasma intelligence to enter and interact with the physical realm and create realities of consciousness. So when we think of like an exalted state of consciousness coming through the womb, the dialing, the aperture of these cosmic portals that we have, the creation of constellations of genetics for past, present, and future of exalted states of consciousness to become into form. This is what more of what I think this looks like is not so much the birth of a child, but it is the birth of light through our entire field, our entire system. So we started to look into parabolic messaging, so simultaneous messaging and communication within the body, and the refractionary biology. And so that what this means is the refractionary of different types of crystals within the body that are the biomineralization of the interstitial fluid spaces between cells. What this means is, our fascial net that we have is not only solid, but it is also liquid. And it has suspended crystals like satellites orbiting the expansive liquidity of this medium. And the embryonic fluid is very much this fluid, these crystals that are moving around, these veins of plasma that are moving around. These fluids facilitate communication and exchange between the development of the fetus and the soul and the external environment, delivering nutrients and moving waste. But these fluids, with their dynamic properties, enable the transmissions of information and energy within the cosmic sphere of consciousness. It serves as a conduit for communication and interaction between different realms of existence. And we keep an aspect of our amniotic fluid within our dural tube from birth. It is part of how we keep in our sonic vibrational key codes of our consciousness through space and time. The access of the frequential tuning that allows us to be in physical form, to be in multidimensional forms. We access this sonic tuning continuously. And it is there present at birth, by recognizing the embryonic fluid as plasma and becomes the interface connecting physical development of the embryo with the vast cosmic forces that shape existence. We have a representation of collective consciousness between the material and the ethereal, where the potential of life takes place. So the seen and the unseen of the consciousness from form and non-form, these are the waters of dark matter and dark DNA and the black sun. Embryonic fluid takes a profound metaphysical significance when viewed through the lens of quantum physics and sonic consciousness. Quantum physics reveals that at the fundamental level, everything of energy is interconnected. So is the embryonic fluid and the plasma. They become a conduit for the exchange of cosmic intelligence and information between mother, new soul, and all dimensions. So body resonance and inner vortexing. One of the things as I was doing this research that came forward was the chaos theory and the butterfly effect. And the butterfly effect is, in essence, where something happens in one part of the world that changes another part of the world. And they call it the chaos theory, but really, these are really great attractors. And what I mean by that is they're golden ratio spirals of information of our consciousness that create an attraction to certain types of information coming forward, to certain types of point clouds that then come forward to be aspects of materialization, of realities. So birthing biothoughts, the thoughts that are able to create this type of electrical conduct of biology into form, is a form of biomorphics. And this is a connected consciousness of a harmonic thought patterns, the inner tension, tone surging, inner tensoring, inner vortexing of a desired state of interdimensional and multidimensional connection of omniversal intelligence. This is the bridging of mind, physicality, energetics in a way to have communication with creator elements. The entire weaving process, the threading of different states, delta states, gamma states, that orchestrate realities into connected states of awareness. What we are really creating is synesthetic states of awareness through vibration, oscillation, giving birth to thoughts that establish multidimensional states of self-awareness, giving birth to parallel states of awareness. The bodyverse is how we speak to the omniverse in creative freedom. And this is a beautiful picture of a sound wave. Because when we talk about light, we're also talking about sound. We're also talking about geometrical form. This is the beauty and the aspect of all of our thoughts. When we are thinking and speaking, a sound wave immediately accelerates what we are bringing into existence. It is a resonant signature of coherent presence. We are facilitating the fractalization of the spark, that point cloud, the spark of our consciousness of incredible organic language. It is a language of light that already exists inside of us. We are creating inscriptions of our soul into our body temple, our temporal tempos of consciousness in motion as time and timelines. There are the soul scriptures of inner bodies in motion as thoughts moving and creating the appliance of space and time dilation. These types of harmonics of consciousness create elegant glyphs of sound vibration and light opening portals to realms of all dimensions. These beautiful inscriptions are glyphs that are weaving the filled fabric of our soul as sound, light, geometrical patterns. DNA is the embedded, woven, braided fractalization as chromosomal structures coding for gene sequences of divine presence. These sensational, sensorial, soulsorial glyphs, the verses, are the new scriptures, the light language of genetic legacy in every aspect of our body, tissue, body crystals, water, blood, and plasma. One of the things that I was seeing was that the fascial tissue that we have through the body is not just physical, but it is also liquid, and it is a crystalline aspect of creation through the body. And it very much pulses through different dimensions, phasing in and out, bringing beautiful aspects of refractionary information through the body. These are morphing filaments, webs, we call the web of light, that are creating the harmonics and the stabilization of different realities. The noticing of these energetic lines, the refraction patterns of this light language communicating in between the spaces of forms as whole patterns of movement are a lexicon of patterns communicating and creating other realities from the previous to the perceivable, one plane to another and one space to another, creating piezoelectric moments of coherence as states of being.